is still tied to the dictatorship of the few. So if money is not safe, if freedom of speech is not safe, if the school system is programming you, then what is it that you have left? Two things. You have two things, ladies and gentlemen. And these are the two things you need to focus on. Hear me out. Write these two things down and focus your entire natural life developing these two things. Ready? Write this down. Number one, inflation-proof skills. You need to develop skill sets that are resistant to inflation or stagnation or a recession or a depression, in fact. So what are some skills that you can develop that are going to allow you to be in a situation where you are protected? Because if your confidence lies anywhere outside of your skill set, per se, in the marketplace, then you're fucked. Because right now, a lot of you guys have a lot of trust in the fiat system because you've been conditioned to trust the fiat system. When you look at the dollar bill and it says, "In God we trust," who's this God? Who is this God? It ain't the God of the Bible. I can tell you that for sure. You understand? The money is the God. So your trust is in the money and the God that they've created, that you worship, that you spend your entire life chasing. So when people come to me and say, "Oh, Luke, you just got rich off of crypto." Brother, I don't give a fuck how I got rich. Do you hear me? I got rich and I got out. That's the goal. So you need to develop skill sets that are inflation resistant. Your ability to sell. Your ability to create. Your ability to network. What do I mean by create? Create is being able to take two different things, and you can't technically create something, right? The word create comes from a term known as ex nihilo, which is something out of nothing. So technically we can't create anything. We just reform things, energy, right? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed. We know this is one of the laws of thermodynamics. So how do you take energy and reformat these things? Your ability to think critically and logically. Guys, ask yourself, why the fuck? Like, I know we have people from all over the world, but everybody has like constitutions, right? Everybody has their constitutions. Why the fuck has nobody taught you your Bill of Rights? Why do you think they didn't teach you the Constitution of the United States in the school? They didn't teach you these things. Why? Because they only taught you enough to make you feel like you're educated, but in fact, they led you astray. Because fucking studying the rocks and shit, sure, it may be cool for a few people, but for most people, it's not going to make a difference. Studying the clouds and studying all this stuff, like, okay, sure, it may be interesting for some of you guys. That's fine. But teach me how to balance a fucking checkbook. Teach me what the fuck are taxes. Some of you guys are in your 30s, in your late 20s. You've yet to sit down and read your Bill of Rights. So when people ask me, "Luke, what are you reading?" Dude, I'm reading the dictionary. I'm trying to understand what the terms and definitions are of things. I'm studying the Bill of Rights. I'm reading the Constitution. Oh, Luke, that's stupid. That's crazy. Sometimes you have to be crazy in a world that is extremely normal. The crazy ones are then in the future revered as geniuses. Leonardo da Vinci, at a given time, he was considered a freak, considered a genius by very few. But he famously said, Leonardo da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the art of science, and study the science of art. Learn how to see. Realize that everything connects to everything else. So when this genius says, to develop a complete mind, you need to realize that things connect to each other, and that what you do in a certain area of life applies to every other area of life. Why did nobody ever teach you about health? Who the fuck came up with the food pyramid, telling you that starches and grains were the most essential and healthy part of your diet, yet everybody here is dying? They told you that the was healthy. Now people are dying left, right, and center. I can't even mention it. I'll probably get blacklisted again. You understand? But I don't give a fuck. And what is the network that you have around you? And what is the intentionality that you're going to apply to make sure that you do not end up in the situation that 99% of the world is in? I posted on my Instagram story just now. I'm here chilling on this beautiful lounge chair, 5-star hotel in Hong Kong. Just got back from all-you-can-eat Japanese Wagyu. And I look down and you have the highway here. Traffic jam. Everybody coming back from their 9 to 5. When you begin to realize that in the feudal times, the peasants had more time off than most of the people working a 9 to 5. Go look it up. Go look how many days peasants had off to just fuck off and do whatever they wanted. So as much as you call them peasants, they had more freedom than 99% of the world. It requires a lot of honesty and a lot of self-reflection. Something that most of you guys have yet to do. Mark Twain famously said, "It is easier to deceive a person than to convince a person that they have been deceived." So let me ask you, have you been deceived? Have you been lied to as to how the world works? Have you been lied to as to what is the solution of life? Now, most of you guys say, you know what, invest in a 401k, making $400,000 a year puts you in the top 1%. Brother, but $400,000 a year can't even buy you a house. Well, yeah, you can buy a house. Yeah, if you go to the fucking bank who printed the money out of thin air and request a loan. So when you begin to evaluate what your money's worth, you can't even buy a house. You can barely buy a car. Yet somehow you assume that you're secure and that you're safe. It is a false construct, ladies and gentlemen. It is a limiting ideology. And people come in and out, which shows you people do not even have the brain capacity or the brain power to stop for a few minutes and to listen. They're so on this TikTok bullshit all day, instant dopamine, that they're just rats running through the maze, cogs of the machine. But hopefully you're different. For your own sake, I don't give a fuck. As much as I care, the quality of my life is impacted very little by your decisions. But your decisions impact the quality of your life to the fullest. So please, take some time and have some self-reflection. Nobody's going to do it for you. Go study the origins of a 401k. Oh, invest in a 401k. What the fuck do you think is a 401k? You don't even know. And you're dumping money into it. We have this idea of as when you retire, you have a social security pension or whatever the fuck this is. And then you start looking at social security and they're fucking bankrupt. And then you start looking at the insurance that you have at a bank that is FDIC insured. And FDIC is insured by the good faith and credit of the United States of America. It's insured by nothing. Nothing. So much so that when presidents arise, like Lincoln, or like Kennedy, JFK, and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we gotta get rid of this fiat system. They end up with a bullet on their heads. Go study the story of the greenback dollars. Go study the history of the silver-backed dollars from the Treasury. And you'll realize that there is a big agenda going on. And that if you believe that you know a lot, then you already lost. The more that you know, the more you should realize that you know nothing. So once again, I ask you, what does your network look like? And what type of skill sets are you focused on developing? Oh, well, Luke, I need money. Then maybe learn the skill set on how to make money. Oh, Luke, I'm trapped. I'm in debt. Do you understand how many DMs I get every fucking day? Hundreds of DMs every single day. Luke, I'm broke. Lend me some money. Luke, I don't know what to do. So with that being said, Capital Club opens this summer, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be very simple. I'm going to open it up for a couple days. Straightforward. Straightforward. It's going to be $1 a day. Why? Yeah, I thought it was good. But I was talking to my payment processors and they were like, Luke, you can't just charge $1 a day on every single credit card, obviously, because then you're going to get flagged. So it's going to be charged as a 1-year thing. And I don't know if I'm going to do this every single year. It's just going to be a 1-year thing. 1 year. I'm committing to you guys 1 year. And after that, we'll see how this aspect of Capital Club pans out. Because I have an ecosystem, right? Right now, I'm developing a funnel. Because if I can teach you guys the basics, right? If I can teach you guys how to develop a business, if I can teach you guys how to network, if I can teach you guys how to understand money and the skill sets and the infrastructure that's necessary, then what I can do is I can curate it down all the way to my high tier mastermind and my high tier event, which is where all these people are making a ton of money outside of myself. And then most of you guys know right now I do private equity, right? That's kind of one of my bigger focuses. One of my bigger focuses is private equity, right? So if I can educate people, it reduces my risk of figuring out if businesses are going to be successful or not, and then be able to invest in these companies through my private equity firm to guarantee a higher possibility of success, right? Because if I'm going to invest money and time into something, look at, for example, go and look at Shark Tank, how many of these deals actually pan out. It's like 30% of them or some shit like that, probably even less. Most of them don't even work. But if I can mitigate that risk initially, which nobody has done before, it's going to be top tier. So if you want to level up, if you want to have access to information with literal billionaires, with people doing $100 million a year in multiple niches, gain access to a network for less than the price of a fucking coffee every single day, then I'll be waiting for you. Otherwise, well, you're on your own, or whatever network you want to be a part of. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave one final data set for you. Oh, and people are like 365 for 1 year Capital Club. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. But remember, I also have to pay Joe Biden his tax, so it's going to be 369. I'm gonna keep it like that because you guys know I like my 369. Nikola Tesla said, if you understand the power of 3, 6, and 9, you'll understand the secrets of the universe. But we'll leave that conversation for another day. That's a whole different Pandora's box to unlock. It's going to be a crazy one. But be on the lookout. And as soon as I leave Hong Kong this week, I'm flying back to Singapore, where I will be getting together with 15 individuals, one of them being the son of the former Prime Minister of Singapore, the former president of Singapore, to basically talk about how the world works. We'll be sitting down with a couple hedge fund managers that manage $2-3 billion funds. We're going to sit down with e-commerce savants, trading savants, not people doing $50,000 a month, $80,000. No, that's not how I work. That's not how I operate. But I learned something extremely important from a character in The Dark Knight, known as the Joker. He said, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And people that pay attention, even if it's the price of a coffee. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, those are my data sets for you. I'm here traveling the world, unlocking data sets myself, expanding my own mind, and I'm bringing you guys along for the journey. So go have some introspection, go have some time by yourself, go dive into your own mind, your own thoughts, ask yourself, what is it that you need to get to the next level, and are you willing to commit to yourself to get to the next level? And if the answer is yes, then you need to get started, because time is of the essence. Your family's depending on you. Your parents are depending on you. If you're married or have a spouse, your spouse is depending on you. If you have kids, your kids are depending on you. You yourself are depending on yourself. Nobody's going to come and save you. You know this. So the question is, what are you going to do to make sure that you ensure that regardless of recession, inflation, stagflation, whatever it may be, that you are positioned to win? If you position yourself in the right way, if you're connected to the right people, and if you have the skill sets to be in the top 1%, there's nothing that is holding you back. So spread the word. $1 a day, Capital Club, coming this summer. We'll also have some biohacking. We'll have some dope shit in there as well, because I know a lot of you guys fuck with what Nate's been doing, and you want to elevate, not only in finance, but in mind and body and spirit. And it'll be a process of development. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you guys very soon. I enjoyed this time with you guys. Maybe we'll do it more often, but appreciate your time, and I hope you leave better than the way that you came. Hashtag undeniable in the comments, or hashtag 369 if you're ready for Capital Club coming this summer. All the love, all the power. Luke Belmar, out.